Hey, welcome back everybody. I'm out here today on this beautiful sunny day on Vancouver Island looking for waterfalls. So I'm driving down this road. I go down quite a bit and I found this one here behind me. It's not huge or spectacular, but I think it's going to make for a good photograph. So I'm going to try and get in there, right about there, and try not to slip and fall and set up the tripod and see what I can get. So I'm just lining up the shot here, and I decided to go with portrait mode with this one, just so you can see the maximum amount of the water flow coming in. And you know, with most of my photos, I use those grid lines, the rule of thirds, and anywhere where those lines intersect, whether it's in the horizontal line and the vertical line, you'll see there's an intersecting point. And I try and put the base of the falls into one of those intersecting points. So in this one, that top left-hand corner, where you can see where it's just coming in on the edge there, that's where I put it. I thought that would give me the best look. So then I use a manual focus, and you can see where everything's highlighted right there was highlighted green. That's called focus peaking. I've talked about that in previous videos, but it allows you to see everything that's in focus. So anything that's highlighted in green is telling you it's in focus. So something with a sharp edge is going to let you know. So just screwing on the filters here. For this one I used an ND64 filter just to get me that real slow shutter speed to make that water look silky smooth. I was using the 58mm moment lens for this, and really I would say probably 99% of my photos now are using that 58mm tele lens. I'm just brightening up the image so I can see. I ended up stacking this one with a polarizer, and what that polarizer does, it cuts out any reflection off the rocks and in the water, so you can see right through the water better. When you cut out reflection on the rocks, you get to see more detail and it has a more natural look. So right there I'm screwing on the polarizer filter. And usually what happens when you first screw it on, it gets too dark and you can't really see the image to see whether or not that polarizer is activated. So I just brighten it up a little bit. And then right there where I'm screwing it down, you can see where that reflection just gets cut. So I play back and forth with shutter speeds and ISO. I try not to get anything above 100 ISO. But I got a couple images out of this one. So I did manage to get a couple shots right there where I was set up. You saw them there. But it's not exactly the right angle because the falls actually go up and around the corner and they keep going. So where they want to be is actually on the other side here, and then I can see up farther. So I'm going to go back across the road and back up the other side, try and get to a good spot so I can get the rest of the falls. So I made it to the other side. I'm standing on the top of the rock, this huge rock right now. But this is the better angle I want because now you can see it going all the way up through here. So I'm going to set up my tripod up high onto this rock so I can see as much as I can up into this section over here. But I think that's going to be the better angle. Let's have a look. So you can see with this one, I really like the angle in this one a lot better than that first shot I took. So I'm just, again, putting that ND filter on there and polarizer, still using the 58mm moment lens. And, you know, I kept going back in this particular angle with an ND64 and an ND8. I thought at first that ND64 was just coming out too dark, and I didn't think I was going to be able to bring up the shadows in post, but I actually ended up doing a pretty good job on it. But, you know, you can see there I just keep playing back and forth with shutter speeds and ISO, and most of the time I never go above that 100 ISO. The higher that ISO you get, the more graininess and noise you get in your photos. So the lower the ISO, even if possible, I try and get that ISO as low as my phone will go, is down to 50. And then I just adjust that shutter speed accordingly to get the right brightness. If you are using the moment lenses and you end up using the 18mm wide lens, you'll find that you can't stack filters very well. You'll get that vignetting. So that's another reason why I end up using this 58mm a lot, because I always stack my filters when I'm using waterfall pictures with an ND filter and then a polarizer in front. So right here I just screwed on that polarizer, and what I do is I slow that shutter speed down to brighten up the image just so I can see if that polarizer is activated. So when I start turning it, and right there, see how bright that got? All the reflection coming off those rocks and water. So then you just keep turning it to right about there. Perfect. Once you get it to that where you cut out the reflection, then I start going back and I play with that shutter speed more just to get the right one that I want. And take the shot. And you see there how dark that picture was. And, you know, you'd be so surprised when you're shooting raw format what you can bring back in post. The idea is to be able to get that right shutter speed so that that water's not blowing out. And blown out by I mean where it's just so bright it loses any detail in behind. But I really like this angle, and I ended up walking away with a couple images. And I thought they turned out a little bit better than the first ones, but you can be the judge and let me know. Well, we're getting a bonus waterfall in this one. I thought it was going to be done for the day, but then I was driving farther down the road and I came across this one right here behind me, and I just love this one. It goes all the way up
And it's a nice little trickle, and it zigzags all the way down. And it's covered with all this nice green grass and moss all down the sides, which is really going to look good in post, where you can highlight that green up. But I just love all the green and the nice flow of that water. So I got the tripod set up right here behind me, and we're going to see if we can get some good photos of this one. Let's check it out.
So for this one, again, I used the 58mm moment lens, and I topped it off with a ND filter and a polarizer. You know, and actually this is an example of using a longer shutter speed. So when that water isn't trickling as much as those previous two waterfalls, I ended up going with the best image I took out of this one actually ended up being a 4-second shutter speed, which most of the time, those bigger waterfalls, I never go 4 seconds. It's just too much, and the water ends up being too blurred. But in this case, it worked out really well. You can see there too, I also, as a tip, I used the timer. So when you're taking longer exposure still shots, set your timer for at least 2 seconds, 3 seconds. I have mine set for 3. So when you push the shutter button, it doesn't actually take the image for a few seconds. That way, any kind of shake from you touching the phone, the camera's not going to pick it up. It's going to be completely still when it takes that shot. But you can take a look at these images that I pulled away from this one, and I'm really happy with them.
Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Hope you liked this video, got something out of it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you already haven't. And we'll see you next time.